Now coming towards our next topics, that is exchange rate system. Now whenever we need to trade with any other country, first we need to take into access what is the value of our currency versus their currency, right? So that the trade can be in a balanced situation. Okay, now for example, here it is US, here it is India. Let's take for example, if we have 83 rupees, that is Indian rupee, okay, versus the dollar, it nearly stands up to $1. Okay, I'm taking as an example, it might be 86, it might be 85 at today's date. Okay, so 83 rupees, if it is valued as $1, then a products or the goods and services that are worth 83 rupees would be imported by the US citizens in $1 rupees, right? Goods and services which are worth 83 rupees in India, okay? That can be taken only in a single dollar in US, right? Now now this is the somewhat present situation, okay? अगर हम 1947 की बात करें, 1947 की बात करें, that time the US dollar was just 0 or near about 0.3 to 4, okay? Not 1947, actually 1920 and 30s, okay? In 1947, it again increased up to near about 3.4, okay? So this was 0.34 valuation of rupee was the single dollar. This was the valuation. अगर आप 0.34 rupees देंगे, okay, then you would have gained the value of $1. Okay, now this got increased. That is, the Indian rupee was devalued. Devalued मतलब क्या? महंगा हो गया. Okay, for $1 we have to pay 3.4 rupees. Okay, 3.4 rupees for $1. Okay, so this is the cycle which we are seeing since the last century, and in the present century we are now in the present decade we are above 80 rupees, above 80 rupees. So how we are going? We are devaluing our currency. Now it is also a negative factor, it is also a positive factor. Negative how? How it can be a negative factor? Because only in the single dollar we have to export 83 rupees ka items. Okay, if a single pen is for 1 rupee, okay, if a single pen is for 1 rupee, तो हमें $1 के लिए कितने पेन बेचने होंगे? 83 pens. Okay, 83 pens. And if we buy their, okay, American pen, okay, their pen in India, if we import their pen in India, how much we have to pay? Now their pen wouldn't be $1 rupee, मतलब $1 का value, right? तो $1 में तो नहीं आएगा, राइट? तो वहां पे $7 का एक पेन होगा, या चलो मान लेते हैं $3 का एक पेन होगा. Now if we are importing a single pen of $3 and if we need, for example, 20 pens, okay, 20 pens, then it would cost us near about $60, right? Now if the $60, if we compare it with the Indian rupee, are we in the profit in this deal? If the single dollar is for 83 rupees and we are about to spend, we are about to expend $60. So 60 into 83, it is much more higher than what we are giving them. Okay, we are giving in $1 83 pence. Okay, and how much we are taking? Just 20 pence, but in $60. So we are here at loss. This is the disadvantaged factor of the exchange rate. Now, if we see the positive factor, okay, if we see positive factor, if our single rupee, okay, single rupee or the single item worth 10 rupees, okay, if a particular thing, let's take pen only, okay, if this is the pen worth 10 rupees, it is in the international market for sale, okay, and here USA is buying it, okay, why? Because in USA it is $4 का value for a single pen. That is why they are buying Indian pen. Okay. Now here our imports would increase. Our imports would increase. Why? Because USA is just paying rupees 10. Right? Getting? USA is just paying rupees 10, which is much lesser than a single dollar, which is much lesser than the single dollar. In this way, USA is at profit. Okay. We are profit. Why? Because we are having the higher exports, not imports. Okay. Higher exports. Don't get confused. I'm sorry. We are at higher exports and USA is at higher imports. That too in profitable margin. Okay. Now this is the positive side of the exchange rate. Negative side क्या है कि हम इंपोर्ट एंड एक्सपोर्ट में हम निगेटिव वे में जाते हैं, ट्रेड डेफिसिट में चले जाते हैं. ओके, एंड इफ वी सी द पॉजिटिव साइड, वी हैव द लार्जर एक्सपोर्ट्स, बट ओनली इन नंबर्स, not in value. Getting? Although we might be exporting bulk of pens to USA, but what we are getting in return? A very less amount, right? Versus what USA is having business with these pens when they import. Now what USA will do? They will import all this pen and sell it at $4 in their country, right? So here India will face the trade deficit. Now if you see the recent example of China versus US, the trade tariffs which were put down by USA on China were due to this devaluation of currency. Now, if we see, China had purposely devaluated its yuan currency. Why? So that ये जो चीजें हैं ये सस्ते में बेची जाए in Western countries. And due to this, the USA trade was affected very badly. How? USA के कोई products खरीद ही नहीं रहा था. Because China devalued its currency. So कभी कभी devaluation जब होता है वो positive भी होता है. If we see in today's world, okay, if we see in the present times, most of the digital equipments are imported from China in India also, right? If we see right from the children digital equipments, okay, for example the digital slate ले लो, मोबाइल फोन तो बहुत आगे की बात है ना, छोटे छोटे पेन्स ले लो, यूज एंड थ्रो वाले पेन्स ले लो, प्लास्टिक, डिजिटल, फैब्रिकेशन is what Chinese market is dependent upon, and that is why it will devalue its currency in international market. Okay, and after this devaluation, okay, it will create a monopolized world, monopolized market. because each and every consumer, each and every buyer, okay, who can purchase some particular of the thing will be purchasing only from the China. Why? Because सस्ता मिल रहा है, right? China has devalued its currency, and that is why the product which are exported by China would be imported in a very less amount by other countries. Fine. And these products are very well accessible for the lower middle class, right? The lower income group or the poor class. Now, this question was asked based on the geopolitics, present geopolitics, how China is intervening in all the regional markets of South Asia, of Central Asia, of West Asia, as well as the Western world. If you open up 2024 ka UPSC mains question paper, okay, you would find the questions that were asked by UPSC exam, although the questions were asked in the IR terms. Okay, but the mother reason, the source reason for this is monopolization of the market, which China is doing by devaluating its currency. Now you would have a question in your mind, is there someone who can monitor all these things? Because there is a need to monitor all these things, as we have our national government who is monitoring, who is overlooking over all the aspects of how the agricultural product is sold in the market, how manufacturing product is sold in the market, what is WPI, wholesale price index, what is consumer price index, CPI, and basis of that government is monitoring. But if the same thing happens in international market, who is going to monitor this? World Trade Center, World Trade Organization. Okay, World Trade Organization monitors it, but its suggestions and its decisions are not binding on the members. This is the major loophole in international governance of market. Okay, so World Trade Organization gives the report, it suggests the countries. In fact, IMF also does it. Okay, now IMF does not include this fluctuation or the devaluation of the markets. World Trade Organization does it, but it cannot put the stringent restrictions on the countries. Okay, if it was to be putting the stringent restrictions, India would be suffering a lot. Why? Because we have higher trade import duties. Okay, secondly, we are giving the higher subsidies to our farmers. Okay, so India had costed it way back before 2 decades only. So WTO ka restrictions are not binded. Okay, their suggestions are not binded. Okay, so here that is why we need to study what are the exchange rate system. Now exchange rate system is being calculated in the two ways, nominal exchange rate and the real exchange rate. The same way through which we calculate the GDP, the nominal GDP and the real GDP. But the fact here is just we need to take in assurance that what is the difference in nominal exchange rate. There is a difference of the currency. The difference of currency is calculated in nominal exchange rate. However, in real exchange rate, we take into consideration what is the present inflation. Okay, what is the present purchase power parity of that particular country. If we are having the trade relations, so for example, India is planning to have trade with USA. Okay, then first we will study how is that country, how is that country's economy. Okay, so yahan pe we will first check what is the purchase power parity of their citizens, right? And after that only we will trade. Now if we will not see the power purchasing parity, then we will end up in loss. Why? Because if the citizens of USA will not purchase your goods and services, what is the use of exporting? Right? Getting? So you will incur here the transportation cost, unnecessary transportation cost, okay, plus fuel cost, right? Getting? Now अगर ये ट्रेड्स जाते हैं यूएसए को तो कहां से जाते हैं? बाय वाटरवेज. Okay, so you'll unnecessarily incur the transport and the fuel cost if you're not checking the purchase power parity of that particular country. Second checking is you need to check what is the prevalent inflation in that particular country, how the central bank of that particular country is having the control over the businesses. Central bank से याद आया, we have central bank, right? We call it as RBI, right? Now RBI is only the bank who is overlooking or monitoring all the market and all the aspects related to the currency fluctuations. Okay, so here RBI either devalues our currency. Now these are the functions and powers of RBI. Okay, this can be used to understand the exchange rate system. Okay, now here the RBI either devalues the currency, RBI either revalues the currency depending upon the inflation rate that is prevalent in the market, in the international market as well as the national market. Okay, beyond that, now this is the function of the RBI. Now there are some of the natural forces coming out from the other countries also due to the market fluctuations. Okay, now here either the currency can be appreciated or the currency can be depreciated. Now if you see this tabular formation, okay, devaluation works similar way as, sorry, this is this. Okay, devaluation works similarly as depreciation. Okay, if we see the currency is depreciated, मतलब क्या है? डॉलर महंगा हो गया है. Okay, and for the same situation we call it as the currency is devaluated. Okay, the similar way, if the currency is appreciated, now how it will be appreciated? If instead of 83 rupees per dollar, okay, per dollar, we have appreciated up to 60 rupees per dollar, then we can say that the currency is appreciated, because अभी डॉलर थोड़ा बहुत सस्ता हो गया है. Getting? So here, if we are having appreciation, we are revaluing our currency. Whenever you read the articles from Indian Express or Financial Express, especially the Financial Express and Economic Times, the editorial present in this newspaper, try to Google it. Okay, many of the newspaper are freely showing those editorials. Okay, the economical editorials will be having all such key terms. Now many of the students can't get those articles due to such concepts and terminologies. But whenever you read the statement, you must get what is devaluation and revaluation and who is doing it. Secondly, the term would be related. These two terms would be related through RBI with respect to repo rate. Now, every now and then at the headline, you would be seeing that RBI has changed the repo rate in the recent quarters. Are you having these headlines in your view? Okay, so what it is doing, either it is devaluating, either it is re-evaluating. Okay, so this is the difference in devaluation, re-evaluation according to the appreciation and depreciation of the Indian rupee. Now what does the RBI does? RBI just changes the repo rate. Okay, now in this aspect, The nominal effective exchange rate was being asked by UPSC preliminary examination. Okay, now what is nominal effective exchange rate? It is the average of nominal exchange rate. When we calculate the average of nominal exchange rate. Now what is nominal exchange rate? Differentiation between the currencies with which we are trading. Okay, and the average of that is nothing but the NEER. Okay, nominal effective exchange rate. Just we calculate the average of this NEER, sorry, nominal exchange rate, and we get the NEER. Okay, now here we need to calculate first the home currency, okay, and the foreign currency with which we are going to trade. Getting? The same is done in the nominal exchange rate, right? But in nominal effective exchange rate, to address the effectiveness of the present status of the market, we are just calculating the average, and that is why it is called as effective. Okay, now the next is real effective exchange rate. Okay, now here the real effective exchange rate produces the adjusted price, okay, adjusted relative price between the domestic countries and n number of countries. Now here there are n number of countries, not a single country with which we are having the trade. Now this is generally done when we are trying to trade with region specific area. For example, India is trading with Asian countries, India is trading with मिडल ईस्ट कंट्रीज, इंडिया इज ट्रेडिंग विथ वेस्ट एशियन कंट्रीज, तो वहां पे क्या रहेगा? ये रीर एप्लीकेबल रहेगा. फॉर एग्जांपल, इंडिया इज ट्रेडिंग विथ यूरोपियन यूनियन, यूरोपियन यूनियन uses the single currency, right? European Union uses the single currency, that is EU. Fine. So that is why here we calculate the real effective exchange rate. So this is the difference. Here the single entity is counted. Here the region specific, that is more than one or two members are being calculated. The currencies of more than one or two countries is being calculated. Okay.